In the winter of 1886, workers digging in a Christian cemetery at Akhmim in Upper Egypt opened the grave of a monk. Buried with the body was a small parchment codex, a handwritten book, and inside it was a text the church had stopped copying centuries earlier, the Book of Enoch in Greek. The book describes 200 angels who came down to earth, married human women, and fathered children. It tells you exactly what happened to the fathers. It tells you exactly what happened to the sons. But the women, the wives, and any daughters born to them simply vanish from the record. The Bible never even raises the question. In the next few minutes, you will see who these women were, where every surviving clue points, and why one strange verse in that grave book may be the only trace that escaped the erasure. If forbidden biblical history fascinates you, subscribe. Every week, we break another seal. First, the paper trail, because this book has one of the strangest paper trails in history. The complete Book of Enoch survives in only one language, Ge'ez, the ancient tongue of the Ethiopian Church, which still counts the book as scripture today. Europe lost it for roughly 1,000 years. Then, in 1773, the Scottish explorer James Bruce came out of Ethiopia carrying 3 manuscript copies. One of them ended up in the Bodleian Library at Oxford, where it still sits. In 1821, an Oxford professor named Richard Lawrence produced the first English translation, and in 1912, the scholar R.H. Charles published the edition most people still quote today. For a while, that was the whole story, an Ethiopian curiosity. Then came the caves. In the 1950s, among the Dead Sea Scrolls found near Qumran, researchers identified fragments of Enoch written in Aramaic, the everyday language of Judea in the time of Jesus. Cave 4 alone held pieces of at least 7 separate copies. The scholar J.T. Mielik published them in 1976. Paleography, the science of dating handwriting, puts the oldest copy at roughly 200 years before the Common Era. So this is not a medieval legend. It is older than the New Testament, and the New Testament knows it. The letter of Jude, verse 14, quotes Enoch by name as prophecy. Now, hold on to one detail. In the Greek book from that Egyptian grave, there is a single verse, chapter 19, verse 2, that translators have argued about for more than a century. Remember it. It comes back at the end. The story starts where Genesis gets nervous. Genesis, chapter 6, verse 2. The sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. 2 verses later, the giants appear. Then Genesis changes the subject and never comes back. 4 verses for the strangest event in the Bible. Enoch does not change the subject. Enoch names names. 200 angels, the book calls them watchers, beings whose entire task is to watch, gather on the summit of Mount Hermon, the highest peak on the northern edge of the Holy Land. Their leader is Semyaza, and Semyaza is afraid. He says it out loud. I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. So the 200 swear an oath. They bind themselves under a mutual curse, so no one can back out and no one can be blamed alone. 200 conspirators, 1 contract. The book even keeps the charge sheet. It lists their chiefs by name: Semyaza, Azazel, Barakel, Kokabel, like evidence filed for a trial that has not happened yet. Then they come down the mountain, and they choose wives. Notice what the text does not say. It does not say the women were forced. It does not say they consented. It gives them no voices at all. 200 marriages, and not one bride has a name. Keep that silence in mind, because it is going to get louder. And this is only the first floor, because the watchers do not arrive empty-handed. Each one brings a wedding gift, and every gift is a piece of forbidden knowledge. Azazel teaches men to forge swords and knives, shields and breastplates, the technology of war. But listen to the next line closely, because it is aimed at the women. He teaches bracelets and ornaments and the use of antimony and the beautifying of the eyelids. Antimony is the dark metallic powder ancient women ground into eye paint. Semyaza teaches enchantments and root cuttings, spellcraft, and herbal medicine. Barakel teaches astrology, the reading of fates in the stars. Kokabel teaches the constellations. Others teach the courses of the moon, the signs of the sun, the signs of the earth. It is a complete curriculum of things heaven had decided humans should not know. Slow the scene down and watch it happen. A woman sits by a fire while a being older than the mountain grinds a dark stone into powder. He shows her how to wet it, how to draw it along the edge of the eyelid with a thin stick of bone. And when she bends over the water to look, her eyes are ringed in shadow, and her own reflection startles her. She has just become the first painted face in human history. A few steps away, another wife kneels in the dirt with a blade, cutting roots the way her teacher's hands guide hers. She is learning which root dulls pain, which one quickens the heart, which one, in the wrong measure, stops it. And down the slope, at the forge, the first sword comes out of the fire, glowing, hissing as it cools. Every man watching understands in the same instant what it is for. None of this is decoration. The book counts these lessons as the crime itself, not the marriages, the teaching. Chapter 8 is not a love story gone wrong. It is a leak. Heaven's restricted knowledge handed across a fire, one lesson at a time. So picture the world this book is describing. The first metallurgy, the first cosmetics, the first pharmacy, the first star charts. And according to the text, the students standing closest to the teachers, the keepers of the enchantments and the root lore, are the wives. In this version of the story, the women are not extras. They are the first human beings on Earth to hold superhuman knowledge. Now ask yourself the obvious question. If you were editing this story centuries later, if you wanted the shame of the fallen angels remembered and the power of their human wives forgotten, who would you cut from the record? Chapter 8 ends with the bill coming due. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven, because knowledge was only the dowry. The children were the price. Chapter 7. The wives conceive, and they bear, in the words of the text, great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells. An ell is an old measure, roughly the length of a forearm. The number is not census data. It is a scream. The point is that these children, the Nephilim, the fallen ones of Genesis, do not fit in the world that made them, and the world learns it fast. The giants consume all the acquisitions of men, and when men can no longer sustain them, the giants turn against them and devour mankind. Then they turn on the birds, the beasts, the reptiles, the fish. They drink blood. Until the earth itself, the text says, lays accusation against the lawless ones. But stop for a moment and think about the mothers, because the book will not do it for you. Every one of those giants had a human mother. The text describes the conceptions. It never once describes a birth. It never records whether a single mother survived one. I have read these chapters many times, and I still cannot tell you what happened to those women at this point in the story. Almost no one can. The book simply looks away, and it looks away from something else. 200 watchers. years of unions. The text says they fathered children and then only ever shows you sons. Were there no daughters? In 200 families? The book does not name one, not a single girl in an entire generation of forbidden children. Either they never existed or they were removed. Hold that thought. It is the door the ending walks through. Then heaven finally answers, and heaven's answer is not a rescue, it is an erasure. 4 archangels look down at the ruin: Michael, Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel. They carry the case to the throne, and the verdict comes back itemized like a court order. Raphael is sent for Azazel. Bind him hand and foot. Cast him into the darkness of a desert called Dudael. Pile jagged rocks on top of him. Cover him with darkness that he may not see light until the day of judgment. Michael is sent for Semyaza and the rest of the 200. Bind them for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, and Gabriel is given the children. His orders are the cruelest in the book. Destroy the children of the Watchers by sending them against one another, so the giants die in a civil war of their own kind, while their imprisoned fathers are forced to watch. Then comes the water. In this book, the flood is not a general punishment for human wickedness. It is a cleanup operation, with its objective stated in writing. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth. Now hear that sentencing again, slowly, and notice who is missing. The fathers, named, chained, given a court date. The sons, hunted, buried. The wives, the women who received the forbidden arts, the mothers of the giants, the only fully human parties in the whole affair, are absent from the verdict. Not pardoned, not condemned, just gone from the paperwork. There is one more bitter irony buried in these chapters. The imprisoned Watchers, terrified, beg a human to write their appeal for mercy. They dictate a petition to the scribe Enoch and send him toward heaven carrying it. They have no idea, as they hand their fate to a man, that the answer was sealed before they asked, or that this same man will one day stand higher in heaven than they ever did. But that is another episode. The appeal is denied, the flood comes, and when the water drains away, the women of Genesis 6 have been wiped from history so completely that most Bibles never mention they existed. Almost, because erasures leave edges. There are 2 ways to explain the silence around these women. 1. Ancient male authors simply did not consider wives worth recording. Ordinary, depressing, and probably part of the truth. 2. The tradition once said more about them, and what it said was cut or lost. Today we are taking the second road seriously. Here is why. First, trace. Chapter 15. The giants die in Gabriel's war, but the book insists their spirits do not. Evil spirits shall they be called, it says. Spirits that afflict, oppress, destroy, attack. In Enoch's world, the demons that haunt the rest of the Bible are the orphaned ghosts of this one family. So the bloodline was drowned. It was not ended. Second trace. The story refused to stay buried. The Book of Jubilees, another text found at Qumran, retells it. And the scrolls preserved an entire lost work called the Book of Giants, where individual giants have names. Ohaya, Hahaya, Mahwe. Giants who wake from nightmares about the coming flood. The sons got their own book. The daughters did not. Or if they did, no cave has given it back yet. Third trace. And this is the strange one. Enoch's plot is not alone in the ancient world. Mesopotamia remembered the Apkallu, semi-divine sages who brought secret knowledge to humanity before a great flood. Greece remembered the Titans, chained underground by the god of the sky, and a race of demigods born from gods and mortal women, wiped out by flood and by war. Israel remembered the sons of God and the daughters of men, different languages, different centuries, different gods, the same skeleton, beings from above, human women, hybrid children, a purge by water, and the survivors chained in the dark. Why do independent civilizations keep describing the same event? And Greece remembered one figure more, a creature that is a woman and is not, a voice out on the water that men die listening to. Hold that image, because we have arrived at chapter 19. Enoch is standing at the edge of the prison of the fallen when the angel Uriel turns to him. And in the Greek Codex, the book from the monk's grave at Akhmim, Uriel says this, chapter 19, verse 2. And the women also of the angels who went astray shall become sirens. Sirens. The bird-bodied women of the sea. The singers no sailor survives. One verse. One line in the entire Book of Enoch that tells you the fate of the women. And the manuscripts fight over it. The Ethiopian copies stumble at exactly this point. Their wording is garbled, and it reads as if the women become peaceful. The Greek text from the grave does not stumble. It says, sirens. That is the argument translators have carried on for over a century, ever since R.H. Charles weighed the two readings in 1912 and chose the Greek. So put the pieces in order. A book that names 200 fathers and their monstrous sons, but not one wife and not one daughter. A verdict that sentences every party except the women. A flood sent to scrub all wrong from the face of the earth. And then a single surviving line admitting that the women were not destroyed at all. They were transformed, removed from human history and relocated into myth, into the exact corner of myth where dangerous, knowing, singing women have lived ever since. And notice the word the verse chooses, the women, not the wives alone. The entire feminine line of this story, every woman and every daughter it never named, relocated out of history and into myth. The Watchers had wives and children beyond the sons the book names, and every trace of them was wiped, except the one trace the erasers missed. And yet, the strangest thing in this whole affair is not the siren's verse. It is who kept vouching for the book. When the New Testament needed a witness against fallen angels, the letter of Jude quoted Enoch by name. The early church writer Tertullian argued the book belonged in Scripture. The witness was quoted. The testimony was buried. You can decide for yourself why. Next time, we stop climbing and we go down into the Book of Giants itself, because one Aramaic fragment from Qumran Cave 4 does something nobody expected. It lists the giants by name, and one name on that list belongs to the most famous king in another civilization's greatest epic. A king you were taught was pure legend. The Dead Sea Scrolls put him on this family tree. But before you go, tell me below. That one verse that escaped, do you think it survived by accident, or was it left behind as a warning? A like helps more than you know, and subscribe. The next seal breaks next week.